Weisathier Hale. Today we're going to read a passage from Alexander the Great's letter to Aristotle. This was a Greek sort of like fan fiction about Alexander the Great. It was of all these collections of stories and crazy things that he saw supposedly in India while he was there on campaign. And it's kind of one of these like peripheries of the world stories where it's like, and then I went into a country where everyone was 8 feet tall and they hunted fish by grabbing them out of the water with their bare hands. And and then I found a group of people that were cannibals and they tried to eat my men, that kind of thing. It's just telling all these like crazy stories under the guise of sort of explaining Alexander's campaigns in the far reaches of the world, at least in the far reaches of the Greek world. This is an Old English translation made probably in the 9th century in Mercia, and then it's copied into the Beowulf manuscript by a West Saxon scribe. So there's a bit of difficulty with the text, but it's nothing too difficult. We're going to start kind of at the end. This is like the last story that Alexander tells in this, again, fictional letter to Aristotle. And he has been coming from a sort of perilous place in which several of his officers die. And he's on the road, and he meets a couple old men who sort of ask him, he asks whether or not there's anything interesting around, and they tell him that there is. We're starting on PDF page 99. I'll have the link to this. It's actually page 37, but PDF page 99. I'll have the link to this in the pinned comments. So we start here. Mid thi ich tha ferde. Mid thi ich tha ferde mid mine werde. Tha komon us thar on tham wea twain alde men tojanus. So we have this verb and this adjective and this adverb, komon tojanus. That kind of means met. Sort of they came against us. That means like we met them. As I was going with my troop, then we met there on the road 2 old men. Thar on tham wea twain alde men tojanus. Tha frein ich he und askode whether he awicht marlich in tham London wisten. Then I asked them, I asked them and I asked them, literally, frein ich he und askode. That is, I asked them and I asked them, whether they something sort of wondrous in those lands knew of. He awicht marlich in tham London wisten. Tha on swarrun he match, on sidon that nare marra way thon machte on 10 dagum jeferan. Then they answered me, and they said that it wasn't more than what we might in 10 days go. So here, thought on swarre he mech on Sidon. Then they answered me and said, and here this mech is a way that we know that this wasn't originally a Mercian text, because that's the Mercian form of the word. The West Saxon form of the word is just me. They answered me. It would be, but here this mech, they thought on Swardun he mech. That is how we know it's Mercian. On Sidon, and they said that nare mara way thonne. Here this nare thought mara way. It was not more far away, sort of. Thonne maakte on tun dagum jeferan. Literally, then someone might, there's this kind of implied like mon maakte. Thonne mon maakte on tun dagum, in 10 days, jeferan, travel. So it means literally, it's not more away than you might in 10 days travel. That is, there is something, it's not more than a 10 days journey away. Whether mid alle mine werde somod ich hit jeferan ne maakte, for thar away a narwette, ac mid fewer thusendum monna ich hit jeferan maakte. And so, however, whether mid alle mine werde somod ich hit jeferan ne maakte. With all of my troop together, I would not be able to travel there, for thar away a narwette, for the narrowness of the roads. Ac mid fewer thusendum monna ich hit jeferan maakte. But with 4,000 men, I would be able to travel there. That each marliches watuhuye sawe, that I would see something kind of marvelous there. Tha was each swede blide on je founde for tham hira wordum. Then I was very happy, and I rejoiced for their words. Tha quath each eft, to him, on him sprach lidem wordum to. Then I said to them, and I spoke kind of with kind words to them, Sejath la mech yit aldon, what that see, marliches, and micheliches, that yit me mech yahatath, that each that is on maya. I'm going to say that again. Yesejath, he just says, Sejath la mech yit aldon, what that see marliches on micheliches, that yit mech yahatath, that each that is on maya. So, say to me, Sejath la mech. Here, la is just kind of an introduction. Say, oh, to me. Yit aldan, you old men. Here, literally, you two oldies. Yit aldan. What tha si marliches on micheliches? What that see? What is it, basically? What it might be of sort of marvelous or great quality. So what marliches means something marvelous. What micheliches means something great. So he's saying sejath mech, what marliches see, what micheliches see. What is there that is marvelous? What is there that is great? That yit mech yehatath, that you promise me, that ich there seon maya, that I might be able to see there. Tha on swarde mech hira oder, und quath thu je siehst kuning jif thu hit je ferest, und tha tu trio sunan und monan on indisch und on griechisch sprechende. Oder thar is wapnet kines sunan trio, oder wief kines that monan trio. Und he yesejath tham men, that he freeneth, what godes oth ivelus him bekuman shall. So, tha on sorre me here oder. Then, and literally they use the ampersand here. That is, it is literally the word ond. So they shorten the first three words of on swarde to the ampersand. That is literally tha ond swarde me. Then they answered me, who? Hira oder, the second of them. Und quath, thu je siehs kining, if thu hit je ferest, you will see, king, if you go there. Und tha tu trio sunan on monan on indisch und on griechisch sprechende. The two trees, the sun and the moon, in Indian and in Greek speaking. So you will see the two trees of the sun and the moon speaking in Indian and in Greek. Oder thar is wapnet kines sunan trio. One of them, oder thar, one of them is the masculine tree of the sun. Oder wiefkines, that monan trio. The other is the feminine tree of the moon. Und he sejath tham men thehi frinath, and they say to that man that asks them, what godes oth uveles him bekuman shall. What shall become of him, of good or evil? So they say kind of what good or evil thing will become of him. Tha ne je liefde ich him, ak wende that he mech on hyste, and on bismer sidon, and each swa quath to minum je fair. I'll pause here. So tha ne je liefde ich him, I didn't believe them. Ak wende that he mech on hyste, but I thought that they were mocking me. And on bismer sidon, and they said it in jest, in kind of in mockery. And each swa quath to minum je feran, and I said to my comrades, to minum je feran, min thrym is from aste waarde middanjarde, oth that westan waarne, and mech thas for aldodan el reorgan, nu her besmergath, minte, nu her besmergath. So, min thrym, my power, is from astwarde middanjarde oth that westan warne. My power is from the easternmost of the world, middanjarde, Middle Earth, until basically all the way to the western sort of end. So my power stretches from the east to the west of the world. And mech thas for aldodon el reoregan, me, these old and foreigner, these kind of old foreigners, thus for aldodon el reoregan, nu her bismeriath. These sort of old foreigners now are mocking me. So, my power extends from the east to the west, and now these old foreigners are mocking me. Mynte ich he haton ivlian. I was going to command something bad to be done to them. Tha sworun he swide that he soth Sidon, und nacht lugen tha rathinga tha rathinga. So then they swore themselves, swide, very strongly. They were kind of saying like up and down that he soth Sidon, that they were telling the truth. Und nacht lugen, and they were not lying at all, tha rathinga, about these things. Tha wolde ich ykunnian, then I wanted to know whether he mech soth Sidon, whether they were telling the truth to me, ond mech mine yeferon baron, that he swelkra merdo besherde ne waron. So then my comrades kind of prayed to me, baron, that he swelkra merdo besherde ne waron, that they were not literally shorn from such great things. So his friends, Alexander's friends, then were saying like, no, like don't kill them, don't deprive us basically of seeing these cool things that they're telling us about. Ak that way his yekundedun whether hit swelchware. But that we should try to find out whether it was true. Tha hit nas michelto yeferranne. It was not a great journey. Genom tha mid mech 3000 und verleet mine fyrt elkor in fasjaken under porre tham kninge. Okay, so genom tha mid mech 3000. I took 3,000 with me. Und verleet mine fyrt elkor in fasjan under porre tham kninge. So fasjaken. Fasjake is like the mysterious magical land that they're in, and Porus is the king. So under porre tham kninge, who's one of Alexander's newfound allies that he's made, he leaves the most of the army there and just takes 3,000 with him. Und under minum jerevum thar abidon. And they stood there under kind of, literally under my reeves, sort of my officers stayed there to govern them. Tha foronwe uzich. Tha foronwe, on uzich tha ladteoas laddon, thorch tha wadlan stowe watres, on thorch tha un a revendon lond, wildeura on wirma, tha warun wunderlicum nomum on indish itchied. Okay, so then the guides, that is the two old men that they met, they set forth, and the guides led them through the kind of wild place of water and through the Una Ravendon means kind of like inhospitable land of wild animals and dragons, or maybe here just snakes. That and they were with wonderful names in Indian. So or I guess Indish really here just refers to probably Hindi. And wunderlicum nomum, they had wonderful names. What that is, they were called wonderful names on Indish. Yichied here is like they were called. Or actually, this is Yikied, I think. Yikied. Myd thu we tha na lachtan tham theudlonde, tha ye saw one way either ye weave ye wapned men mid paltera fellum on tigrishum, thara deora hudum ye jurde on nanes others brugon. Okay, so as we were nearing that country, then we saw both woman and man, here wapned men, that is like literally weaponed men, but that is just kind of men. With here, it's important to note, weef ye wapned is the two kind of prefixes to the sexes in Old English. So you would occasionally refer to a woman as a weefmon and a man as a wapned mon. That is literally a woman person or a weaponed person. Those are the distinctions that they would make. Over time, that distinction kind of faded, and men ceased to be called wapned men, and they were just men. Women continued to be called weefmen, and that is where we get the word woman from. So, but they had the skins of panthers and tigers. Those animals here, fellum, hudum. These are both like pelts. Yurde, that is, they were kind of like garbed with them. They were literally prepared with them, but more kind of like bedecked with them, and they didn't use anything else. Nanas odres brugon. That is like in terms of clothes. Mid the each tha frein he on ascode hueltretheo de kynnes he waren. Then I asked them, and again, I kind of frein he on ascode. That is literally in modern English, this is just I asked them and I asked them. But there are two sort of different words. Frein is literally more I asked. Ascode is a bit more like I inquired. So I guess I should say like I asked them and I inquired, Hueltretheo de kynnes he waren, of what kind of people they were. Tha on swarre he mech on Sidon on hiri theode. Then they answered me and said in their custom that he waren Indos, that they were Indians. Waseo sto room on Winsume. The place was wide and wonderful. On balsamum on Rachels there was jenichtumnes. There was a kind of abundance, jenichtumnes, of balsam, and Rachels is like incense. On that act of thara trewa telgan whale, on that act of thara trewa telgan whale, on tha men thas londes be the leavdon on that aton. So it came from the branches of the trees, that is this incense and balsam. Balsam is like a really fragrant flower, and that's where we get like balsamic vinegar from, is that it's added to the vinaigrette. Anyway, so it says it literally like wells from the branches of the trees, and those men of that land, by it lived and ate. So be here is like kind of an intense form of the, it's an intense kind of cousin of the preposition be. It means literally like that is with what they use to live and eat. Midthi we tha jernlikor tha stoe shaudon, on betwich tha barwas eudon. So then we kind of more eagerly then looked around the place, and between the barwas is like the groves went. Und ich tha winsumnesse on firenesse thas londes wundrede. And then I wondered at the kind of pleasantness and the fairness of that land. Tha quom se bishop thare stoe ustoianes. Then here we get again get the quom toianes. That is, we met the bishop of that place. Tha quom se bishop thare stoe ustoianes. Was he se bishop 10 fote upach. The bishop was 10 feet tall. Und him al was se lichom a swart buton tham todum tha waron huite. And all of him, in terms of his body, was black, except for his teeth, they were white. Und tha Aaron him thurch thyrolode, and his ears were pierced through. Und ringas on hongodon of manifaldon gymkynne jeworchte, and earrings hung from them of many kinds of gems, made of many kinds of gems, that is, jeworchte manifaldon gymkynne. Gym or yim, I don't remember. I think it's yimkinne, actually. Und he was mid wildeo rafellum yirwed, and he was kind of adorned with the hides of wild animals. Tha he se bishop tome quom, tha grete he me sona, und halete his leud thaue. So then the bishop came to me, and he greeted me quickly, and hailed me, halete, his leud thaue, by the custom of his people. Frein he ac me to huon ich thither quome, on what ich there wolde. He asked me also why I had come thither, literally, and what I wanted there. Tha ansvarade ich him, then I answered him, that mech lyste jeseon tha halgan treo, sunnan und monon. I had a desire to see the holy trees of the sun and the moon. Tha ansvarade he, jifthine jeferan beoth klane from wifjhrine, thonne moton he gongon in thonne god kundran barro. Okay, then he answered me, if your comrades be clean from wifjhrine, that is literally from the touch of a woman. So he says if they are sort of pure from the touch of the woman. Not really sure what that's supposed to mean. It could mean if they're virgins. It could mean if they had not recently like had sort of any sexual encounters. It could mean that literally as long as they weren't women. Either one of those is could. Wifi literally just means like the touch of a woman. Thonna moton hi gongon in thonna god kundran bar. Then they are allowed to go into the holy grove. Was minra jeferna mid me threu hun monna. There were 300 of my comrades with me. Tha hates the bishop mina jeferan, that he heura yeshi and alne heura jerelan him off adidan. So then the bishop commanded that my comrades take off their shoes and all of their yerelan, which is like their garb. So maybe he's commanding them to strip nude. It's unclear. But at least their shoes and their outer garments. The bishop is commanding them. Yeah. Tha hate se bishop mina jeferan. Then he ordered my comrades. Und hate each what swa don swa he us bebad. And I commanded as well to do everything that he was commanding us. That is, what swa don, everything to do, swa he us bebad, as he ordered us. Was hit tha so endlefte tid dias. It was then the 11th hour of day. Tha bad se sokert sunnan setelkongen for thon sunnan treu aifth onsware at tham upgonge und eft at setelgonge. Okay, so then the priest waited until the setting of the sun, setelgongen sunnan, for thon sunnan treu aifth onsware, because the tree of the sun gives an answer, at tham upgonge und eft at setelgonge, at the rising of the sun and again at the setting of the sun. On that monan trio yeliche swa on nichte dire. Swa on nicht dire. And the tree of the moon does the same on nighttime, that is at night. Tha ongon each jernli kor tha stoi shaujan. Then I began eagerly to look around the place. Und jon tha barwas on treu gongon, tha each sach each der balsamum thas betstan stenches, genoch, of tham treum utwellan. So then, ongon each jernli kor tha stoi shaujan, und jon tha barwas on treu gongon. So I began to more eagerly look around, and I would go around the groves and the trees, and there I saw balsamum thas besten stenches, that is of the best sort of odor, genoch, that is enough, sort of, that is to say, there's quite a lot. Of tham treum utwellan, sort of oozing out of the trees. That balsamum either je each je mine je ferran thar betwich tham rindum noman thar triu. So then, sort of, that balsamum, both I and my comrades, between the rinds of the trees took. That is between, like, that is kind of in the, that is in the bark of the tree. Nomen, we took. Thonna waren tha halgan treo sunan und monan. Then were the holy trees of the sun and the moon. On middum tham odrum treum. They were in the middle of the other trees. Magdon hi beon hund teonius fota uphach. They might have been 100 feet tall. Und ak thar waren odre treu wunderlich rehanisse. And there were also other trees of wonderful height. Tha hath Indeus bebronas. The Indians call them bebrons. Thar treua hanisse each wundrade. Und quath that each wende that he for miklum watan und reinum swahai weoxon. So then I wondered at the highness of the trees, the height of the trees. And I said that I thought that they were for great sort of humidity and rain grown so high. Thas ide se bishop, that thar navre in tham londum renis dropa ne come, ne fugul ne wildeor ne nani ater wurm, that her dorste jesechan, tha halgan jemaro sunnan und monan. So the bishop then said to me that never in those lands a drop of rain, ne come, didn't come, ne fugel, nor a bird, ne wildeor, nor a wild animal, ne nani ater wurm, nor any sort of poisonous vermin or snake or dragon. That her dorste se chanta hagan imero sunnan on monon. That were permitted, or that dared, actually, that dared to seek, that dared to seek the holy and kind of wonderful trees, that is implied, of the sun and the moon. Ac thonne he saire se bishop thonne that eclipsis were, that is thonne thas sunnan asprungnis othe tharre monan, that tha halgan trio swede wepen und mit mikle sare instyret waren, for thon he ondradon that he heura godmine sholden beon benumene. So then the bishop said, also, thonne that eclipsis were, so when there was an eclipse, and then here he explains what an eclipse is, that is thonne thas sunan asprungnis, that is the sort of destruction or the failure of the sun, monan, or of the moon. That the holy trees then swide wepen, they would then sort of strongly weep, und mit mikle sare instyret waren, and they were sort of with great sore, with great sort of pain stirred, because they were afraid, for thon he ondraden, that he hiura godmine and sholden benumene, that they, of their sort of god powers, godmine, would be kind of taken from them. Tha thochte each, saide Alexander, that each wolde on sidenisse thar on sedjan. Then I thought, said Alexander, that I would there sort of sacrifice say. On sedjan is to sort of do a sacrifice. On sidenisse is a sacrifice. So then I thought that I would sort of offer something. Ac tha forbad me se bishop. On side that narre. So then the bishop forbade this. And he said that there was no, or that narre alivid, that it was not allowed. Anicum men, for any man, that he thar, or any person, that he thar any newton qualde othe blodite worchte, ac mech hate that each me tothara trioa photum yebare. So he said it was not permitted for any person that they there, any beast, or newton is like a beast of the field, killed, qualde, othe blodite worchte, or sort of any sort of blood sacrifice made. But he commanded me that I, to those trees, photum yebare, to the feet of the tree, that is kind of the roots of the trees, bad. That is, so he commanded that I go to the base of the trees and pray there. That sunna und mone me sodre on soarie und wordum thara thinga the each frune sithan thas thing. Oh, okay. There's no punctuation, which is kind of frustrating, but this is the sentence. So that the sun and the moon would sort of truly answer me. Tha sunna und mone me sodre on soarie und wordum, with an answer. That is, answer me with an answer. Thara, or answers, because this is dative plural. Thara thinga the each frune, of the things that I asked. Sithun thas thing thus yedon waren. As these things were done, that is, Alexander does go, and he does ask. Sorry. As these things were done, that is, as the bishop was done saying this to them, Thayasawon we westan thona leuman sunnan on seleuma yechran tham treum uvon werdum. So then we saw in the west the light of the sun, and that light, yechran, it ran, it sort of, yechran, it touched tham treum uvon werdum, sort of above the trees, that is kind of, it touched the tips of the trees. Tha quath se sakert, lokiath nu alle up, und bei swa hulkum thingum swaye willan friedan. So then the priest said, look all of you up, and by, or about whatever thing swaye willan, as you want, friedan. And here, these are both probably the subjunctive plural. So, swaye willen frinen. This is the infinitive. So okay. Be swahultum thingum swaye willen frinan. Thenche on his heurtan digolice. Okay. Und nani mon his gethocht openem mordum ut nekyde. Okay, so he's commanding them now. Lokiath nu alle up. On base wa welcome thingum swa ye willen frinan. So, and about whatever thing that you want to ask, swa ye willen frinan, Fenche on his heurtan degolice. That is, he should, or whatever, any one of you should think in his heart, digolice, sort of quietly. Und nani mon his gethocht open mordum ut nekide. And no man his thought with open words, literally out loud, ut nekide. That is not, no one should let anyone know what they're thinking. Mit the we tha wel nach stodon, tham barum on tham godsprecum, tha thochte each on minum mode, whether each machte alne middanjard me on onwald je slaan. On thon nesithan mid tham sigorum juwerdod. And I'll pause here. So, as we very close stood to those groves and the goldsprecum, I guess just the sort of like holy speaking things, that is the trees. Tha thochte each on minum mode. Then I thought in my head, in my mind, whether each machte alne middanjard me on onwalje slaan, whether I would be able to sort of control all of Middle Earth, that is, on onwald, in my power, yslaun. Here, yslaun usually means to slay, but here kind of means sort of to subdue. Alne middanjard, all of Middle Earth. On thonna sithan midtham sigorum juwerdod, and then, after, with, like, sort of honored by those victories, each eft machte bekuman in Macedoniam to Olympiade minre meder. So then, if I would be able to come with those victories back to Macedonia, to Olympiade minre meder, to Olympias, my mother, ont minum jeswustrum, and my sisters, tha on swarde me that treo indushum wordum on thusquath. Then the tree answered me in Hindi, that is, indushum wordum on thusquath. Thu un oversweefde Alexander in je veuchtum thu werdes kuning on hlavord alles middanjardes. So you sort of undefeated Alexander in battles. That is, oversweefde. He has not been oversweefed. He has not been defeated in je veuchtum, in battles. Thu werdes kuning, you will become king. On hlavord, and the Lord, alles middanjardes, of all of Middle Earth, of all the world. Ak, whether ne cumst thu on thine edel thonon thu ferdest, for thon thine edel hit swa be thinum havde on forre havath arraded. So, however, ak, whether, but however, ne cumst thu, you will not come on thine edel, in your kind of homeland, thonon thu ferdest that you came from, that is sort of thence you traveled before. For thon thin edel hit swa be thinum havde on forre havath arraded. So edel here is actually, I read yeshaft in another manuscript. But even if it is, you could say, because of this, your homeland, hit it, swa be thinum havde, sort of about you, literally about your head, but sort of about you, on forre havath arraded, and sort of in the future, havath arraded. Oh no, sorry, and for you, on for you, has kind of decreed, has predicted, has sort of sussed out. That is to say, this is your fate. Yeshaft here is I think a better reading. Yeshaft means fate, like your kind of what will happen to you. But yeah, this is the fate that you have, that has been decreed for you. Tha was ich unglau thasti theodes dar indishra worda, that trio me to sprach. So I me to sprach. I was unwise. That is, I didn't know anything of that sort of that land, of that thing, of the Indian words that the tree spoke to me. So I can't speak Hindi. I don't understand what it just said to me. Tha rakte hit me se bishop on side. Then the bishop kind of recalled it to me. That is, he kind of told the story to me. Mid thi hit mine je ferran hyrdon, that each eft quick ne moste in mine ethelbe kuman, tha waron he swede unrote forthon, tha wolde each, okay, unrote forthon. So then, as my comrades heard that I would not come living back to my homeland, then they were very sort of unhopeful, that is despairing because of that. Unrote. Swede unrote forthon. They were very sort of despairing because of that. Tha wolde each eft on tha aventid ma aschian, ach tha nas semona tha yit uppe. Then I wanted to ask more in sort of the evening, but the moon was not up yet. Okay, this is a good place to pause for the day. We will finish the story of Alexander and the trees next time. That is probably 2 days from now. Thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting and helpful. And until next time, Farthie Yesunde.